G'day folks, welcome back to another vid. Today I'm going to be talking about pre-trip inspections and some of the things you can do to check your vehicle before you head out to make sure you travel safe. So we're going to start with the under bonnet checks. Under the bonnet I'm going to start with my battery. Now the battery is a very important part of the vehicle of course, and I'm going to make sure that the battery's sitting nice and secure in its cradle. The last thing you want is that battery to move around if you're going over corrugations, steep hills, etc. And then it might pull on some of the cables and cause you some dramas. I'm also going to check to make sure there's no corrosion around the posts and also look at the battery condition. Now there is an inspection hole on my particular battery and that'll tell me its health essentially. Now if you're not sure, make sure when you get the vehicle serviced in particular that they do check the battery because it is a really important part of the vehicle. Moving along the engine bay, I'm going to be checking the coolant level to make sure that that is nice and high. Now, in our case, there's a minimum and maximum level, and you can see that just by looking at the actual the bowl. Now, we've got a pink fluid. That is a genuine Volkswagen coolant, and I recommend that you use that or use something that is suitable for your vehicle. We then look at the window washer levels. Now, it's important to have a full window washer level before you leave home, because if you hit some dust or mud, we need to clean the windscreen, and that's really important for visibility. Engine oil is the next thing. Now, engine oil, there's a particular process you need to take when you check your engine oil. I have done a video on the past, but just to let you know, you've got to start the engine up, get the oil temperature up to 80 degrees, switch the engine off, and let the vehicle sit for 3 minutes. Then you pull the dipstick out, and the oil level should be just under the top of the crosshairs. Again, we're using genuine oil in our case, Volkswagen oil. And I've done a video on this, so if you're interested in the particular oils that I carry, just check out that video. We're checking the brake fluid levels, and again there's an indicator high and low, and I'm also going to be checking the power steering fluid levels. We've also got the air box. Now we've got a snorkel in our vehicle, so that reduces the amount of air that we can potentially suck into this air box, but it's a good idea to check that frequently to make sure that there isn't a lot of dust in there. The reason for that is that can affect your engine performance and also fuel economy and things like that, and if it gets really clogged up you'll find you may not be going anywhere. Look, finally, I'm just doing a general inspection of the engine bay, looking for anything that looks unusual. Now, if you're not sure what's unusual, a good idea might be, particularly after you've just serviced your vehicle, get your phone out and just video the engine bay, and that way you can compare it when you're out bush and have a look at what's normal and what's not normal. And at any time, if you're opening up any of these containers, make sure you wipe it with a rag, just so you don't get any oil contaminants inside. Well, that's it for the under bonnet. Next up, what we're going to do is check the tyres, and come with me and I'll show you what I like to do. Okay, with our tyre checks, what I'm going to be checking is the integrity of the tyre, and to do that I'm going to be checking the outer wall, the inner wall and the surface of the tyre to make sure there's no cuts or anything else that might cause this tyre to fail. I'm also going to be checking the tyre pressure. Now I do this when the vehicle hasn't driven anywhere, because typically when you drive on the highway or wherever you're going, you can get about a 4 psi increase. So you want to check these when they're cold, or take it into consideration if you're checking it when they're hot. So in my case, we're on 40 psi, which is exactly where I want it. And what I'm also going to do, using a torque wrench, is make sure that the bolts here are torqued up to the correct pressure. Now, in our case, it's 180 Newton meters. So I've already calibrated this torque wrench to that, and as soon as I hear that click, I know these are perfect. Now I'm going to do that all the way around the vehicle, and I'm also going to do the same check on my spare, because that is, in this van, it's probably the most vulnerable place to have a spare tyre. You know, you're going over obstacles and things like that, and you could shred that and not know about it. And you know, let's face it, we've only got one spare in this van, so we're going to really look after it. So once I've gone all the way around and checked the tyres, I know I'm good to go. And then finally what I'm going to do now is get underneath the vehicle and do an underbody check. Righto, so under the vehicle, what I'm going to be doing is just making sure that there's nothing unusual happening. Now, again, what is unusual and what's normal? Well, just after you've had your vehicle serviced, get underneath, use your video camera, video as much of the underbody as you can, and that way you can compare it. But for me, I'm looking for any dampness in particular around the shocks. I'm looking for any loose cables that may have come out as a result of driving over some terrain. The stick may have picked up a cable or a fuse line, who knows. So we're doing just a general check underneath, checking the fuel tank, make sure there's no fuel leaking out. You know, you have a bit of a smell, have a bit of a look, and just generally get a feel for what's normal, what's not normal. And that way, if there is a problem, you can attend to it sooner rather than later. Righto, under bonnet check done, under body check done. We are ready to rock and roll and travel safer. I hope this short video helps you. If there's any other ideas you have or things you do while you're out and about or before you head out, we'd love to know about it. Drop it in the comments below. But until then, you know what to do. You get stuck into it for the love of travel.